Hello everyone, this is Maritime Academy YouTube channel, and in this video also, same as usual, we are talking about regulations of Annex I of MARPOL Convention. In this regulation we shall talk about Regulation 34 of Annex I. Regulation 34 of Annex I is about control of discharge of oil, and just I want to remind you, I think this is a good place to remind you that in Regulation 15 of Annex I also we had the same title, control of discharge of oil. So remember this thing, that Regulation 15 was inside the Chapter 3 of Annex I, which was talking about machinery spaces. And Regulation 34 is inside the Chapter 4 of Annex I, which is about cargo area of oil tankers. So in Regulation 15, when we are telling control of discharge of oil, means control of discharge of oil from the machinery spaces. And in Regulation 34, when we are telling control of discharge of oil, means control of discharge of oil from cargo area. So this was a good thing, I think I wanted to remind you. And okay, back to Regulation 34. Regulation 34 is about control of discharge of oil, and it's telling that subject to the paragraph, subject to the provisions of Regulation 4, subject to the provisions of Regulation 4 of this annex. What was the Regulation 4? Regulation 4 was exceptions. So I think already we talked about this regulation too much. It was telling, just in brief I want to tell you, it was telling that if something unwanted happened for the ship, for example in case of any damage, or in case of any damage or anything that the vessel is trying to secure the safety of the ship, or saving the lives at sea, at these type of cases, vessel is exempted for complying with these regulations, means Regulation 15 and 34, but provided that they have done their utmost efforts to reduce to minimize the discharge of oil to the sea. So it's telling that provision to this subject to the provisions of this regulation, means Regulation 4. So the vessels, for discharging any oil or oily mixture inside or outside of the special area, they shall comply with the requirements of Part A of Regulation 34. Part A of Regulation 34 is about discharge of oil outside of the special area, except Arctic waters. And it's telling that for discharging the oil or oily mixture outside of the special area, except the Arctic waters, they shall comply with the 6 conditions. All of these 6 conditions. Be careful from these wordings. It's saying all of these 6 conditions. So what are these famous conditions? Just have a look. Vessel definitely shall be outside of the special area. It's very clear. Vessel shall be en route. Vessel, the discharge rate of the oil or oily mixture shall not be more than 30 liters per nautical mile. This number 3. And these vessels shall comply with requirements of Regulation 29, means they shall have the slope tank arrangements, and requirement of the Regulation 31 means that they shall be equipped with the oil discharge monitoring equipment, means ODME. And it is telling that the total cargo which is going to be discharged, total residues, total oil residues which is going to be discharged, it shall not be more than 1/30,000 of the total quantity of the original cargo which this residue came from that. Also, the vessel at the location which is started to do this type of discharge, they shall be in distance of minimum 50 nautical mile from nearest land. So the vessel shall be in any location with a distance from the nearest land more than 50 nautical mile, shall be en route. The discharge rate shall not be exceed 30 liters per nautical mile. Vessel shall be equipped with the ODME, with slope tank arrangements, and the total quantity of the discharge of residue shall not be more than 1/30,000 of the original cargo which this residue came from, and definitely vessel shall be outside of the special area. It's very clear. So this was the part A of Regulation 34. Also, in the second paragraph of this regulation, it's telling that it's very clear, and it's telling that these requirements is not applicable for the vessel which is going to discharge the clean or segregated ballast. It is clear, because initially at the first paragraph it's telling that it's about discharging the oil and oil mixture, but again in the second paragraph it's telling that it's not applicable for discharging the clean ballast tank, clean ballast water, or segregated ballast water. So this was the first part. Let's go to part B of Regulation 34, which is about discharge of oil inside of a special area. Let's talk about part B of Regulation 34. As I told you, in part B of Regulation 34, we are talking about discharge of the oil inside of the special area. Oil or oily mixture inside of the special area. And it has 3 paragraphs. In the first paragraph of this part B, it's telling that, again, subject to the provisions of Regulation 4, the discharge of oil or oily mixture inside of the special area is completely prohibited. Very clear. And again, in the second paragraph, it's telling, same as it was telling in the first, in the part A, here also is telling that the provisions of this regulation, this paragraph means first paragraph of part B of Regulation 34, is not applicable for discharging the clean or segregated ballast tank in this area. So that is also very clear. And in the third paragraph, it's telling that, third paragraph of part B of Regulation 34, it's telling that for the vessel which some part of her voyage is inside of the special area and some part is outside of the special area, so this vessel definitely is able to do the discharge with fulfilling, provided that to fulfill with the requirements of paragraph A of this regulation, to discharge the oil or oily mixture inside of the part which is already outside of the special area. So means that it's very clear, if your vessel voyage is some part inside the special area and some part of the outside of the special area. So definitely when you are outside of the special area, you can fulfill with these requirements and discharge your cargo and no any problem for you. So this also talking about this one. I wish I could explain. Also, after paragraph paragraph B, in paragraph C of this regulation, it's talking about the requirements for discharge of oil by the oil tankers with less than 150 tons GRT. As you know, this regulation is applicable to the vessels, to the oil tankers of 150 tons GRT and more. So here it is clarifying that what to do with the tankers of less than 150 tons GRT. It's telling that, as you know, Regulation 29, slope tank arrangements, Regulation 31, ODME, Regulation 32, oil discharge interface detector. These regulations are not applicable to the tankers of less than 150 tons GRT. But it's telling that this type of vessels with this GRT, means 150 tons and less, they have two options. First of all, they shall retain the oil and oil mixture, cargo residues on board the vessel, okay, and deliver to the reception facilities. Or if they are intended to discharge oil or oil mixture, then definitely they shall comply with the requirements of this regulation. Means Regulation 29, so they shall have sloop tank arrangements. Regulation 31, they shall have ODME. Regulation 32, they shall be equipped with the oil water interface detector. So this is also about oil tankers less than 150 tons. Also, this regulation have one part, the last part in this regulation. It is about some general requirements, which also let's talk about that part. In part C of the Regulation 34, we are talking about general requirements all around the Part A and Part B of this regulation, means Regulation 34. The first paragraph of Part C, it's telling that in case of, better I tell like that, whenever there is any trace, whenever there is any trace of oil or oil mixture in close vicinity of the ship or its wake, wake means path left by the ship in the water. So whenever there is any trace of oil in the close, in the immediate, it's telling immediate vicinity of the ship or its wake, so the authorities of the government, which is state to this convention, they shall start investigate to see that there is any violation of this regulation or not. This is the duties which here MARPOL is giving to the authorities. And definitely in this investigation, they shall consider the wind, sea condition, track, and the speed of the ship, and etc. To see that is there any violation of this regulation, the requirement of this regulation, or not. In the second paragraph also, it's telling that better I tell you like that. I want to tell you in how I can tell you in the easy way. Okay, it's telling that you cannot do any type of circumventing. Circumvent means to get around something in a clever way. So it's telling that you cannot do any type of circumventing for fulfilling with the requirement of this regulation, especially Part A. So I don't want to tell you, but okay, let me tell you something. For example, there is some crazy ideas that, okay, let's use OSD or sea cleaner or some type of chemicals, to reduce the trace of oil around the ship, to reduce the volume 130,000, or some type of these ideas that maybe have. So it's telling that, this part's telling that you cannot do this type of games, you cannot do this type of circumventing, you cannot get around of this regulation. And the last paragraph of this regulation, which is actually third paragraph of Part C of this regulation, it's telling that actually it's very clear. The part of cargo residues which cannot be discharged as per the requirement of this regulation, especially paragraph 1 and paragraph 3, so definitely shall be kept on board, shall be retained on board, and discharged to the reception facilities. It's very clear. So we finished with Regulation 34, which it was talking about control of discharge of oil. And which oil? Oil from the cargo area of oil tanker. because Regulation 15 was about control of discharge of oil from machinery spaces. So please remember this difference. Okay, thank you again for watching me. So let's talk about Regulation 34 in the next video. So goodbye then, and thank you again for watching me. Bye bye.